The American people have concluded that President Biden is old and he needs soup and an early bedtime.
All right, well, that was classic Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana absolutely roasting the president as he celebrated turning the big 81 yesterday. Biden himself poking fun at the milestone with this photo of a flaming birthday cake, screen right, at yesterday's Thanksgiving turkey pardon. He also joked about his age, which then became glaringly obvious.
By the way, it's my birthday today. I just want you to know it's difficult turning 60. Difficult. Just to get here, Liberty and Bell had to beat some tough odds and competition. They had to work hard to show patience and be willing to travel over 1,000 miles. You could say even this harder than getting a ticket to the Renaissance tour or Britney's tour. She's down in, it's kind of warm in Brazil right now.
A little hard to watch there. The president confusing, of course, Taylor Swift, Britney Spears, and Beyonce before trailing off. Political reports age concerns has the White House aides pushing President Biden to ditch formal shoes now for more comfortable ones after a number of stumbles. The New York Times says insiders refer to the keeping the president protected as, quote, Operation Bubble Wrap. The White House, though, says no worries.
I mean, is there a real alarm happening behind the scenes that the president is simply too old to stake around for another 4 years?
No, there's no alarm happening behind the scenes. What I can speak to is how we see this, what our perspective is. Our perspective is that it's not about age, it's about the president's experience. That's what we believe. And it's, as they say, the proof is in the pudding. What I'll be very clear about is we're not going to govern by polls here. We're going to, or poll numbers. We're going to focus on delivering for the American people.
Well, that's because the latest polling shows a problem for the president with young voters. Those aged 18 to 34 are now leaning in favor of former President Trump. Gianno Caldwell, Fox News political analyst, David Carlucci, former Democratic New York State Senator, joining us now. David, what do you think about that? Is there concern among your party now?
Well, of course there's concern. I mean, we look to these latest polls, and I think we have to see it as a blessing to see, hey, these are the problems that are presented to us a year out from the election. It gives us time to really recalibrate, to refocus, and make sure that we're not talking in broad generalities, but talking about specifics on how President Biden, with his experience and ability to move legislation through Congress, has gotten laws on the books that help the American people. And things like reducing the cost of prescription drugs, being very specific. I think voters are angry, they're frustrated because of the issues going on that are really outside of the president's control. But the buck stops with the president. He's the one who has to take the blame.
Let me get Gianno
no matter
in
who's
here.
in that office. Polls are going to show that.
Right. The buck stops with Joe, his own words. And the top priority for most voters is the economy. And now it seems even Democrats, Gianno, are reportedly urging the president to revamp his economic messaging. One Democratic congressman telling The Hill the campaign has time to tweak its messaging on the issue, but it's not worth abandoning entirely. Maybe that tweaking is a good idea, Gianno. A recent poll shows that a large majority of voters disapprove of how the president is handling the economy. The problem is that's not stopping the president and his team from pushing this notion of Bidenomics and touting that his economic policies are working while people are saying they clearly are not, Gianno.
Well, you can tweak a message all you want, but the American people have seen the deliverables, and it's high inflation, baby powder shortage, gas prices are high, food is high. We're going up against Thanksgiving in a couple of days, and people are having to think through, can I get this medication or can I get a turkey? This is problematic, and it should be alarming to every Democrat who set up and supported Joe Biden over the course of the 2020 election and even up to now. If we look at the numbers in 2020, young people 18 to 29, he won by 20 points. Now you're looking at a deficit with Generation Z, millennials, African Americans, and Hispanics. He had Hispanics in 2020. They voted for him at 63%. That number is now 46%. With these groups, with these sectors of communities, he's in a losing position. Donald Trump is actually winning this thing because he has a history. 4 years of a great economy, people doing well. They didn't like his tweets, and that's fine, but they don't like Joe Biden and his policies. That is where we are right now as a country, and Democrats should be in full panic.
Well, where we are is Thanksgiving
polls
week,
don't
and
vote,
David,
people vote.
What? Okay, so I understand the polls do not favor the president right now, and so there is the effort to ignore them. But David, I want to ask you about this. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre, she whipped out a food menu at yesterday's briefing to argue the point that Bidenomics, the president's policies, are working.
According to the American Farm Bureau, the cost of a Thanksgiving dinner fell this year. Prices are down for turkey, stuffing, peas, cranberries, pie crust, and whipping cream. This Thanksgiving dinner is the fourth cheapest ever as a percentage of average earnings.
Okay, so the Bureau of Labor Stats shows a different picture, David. Since the president took office, the price of turkey has jumped more than 31%. Other holiday staples like bread, potatoes, and pie are also costing more. A recent poll shows deep pessimism among voters. Just 19% say they feel confident that life will be better for their children's generation than it was for them. That's an all-time low for that poll, David, going back to 1990. So ignore it all you want. But this is the sentiment that we are seeing and feeling out there. And it seems this is a White House in denial of it.
Well, it's not denial, it's not ignoring, it's taking into consideration these polling numbers. But remember, just 2 weeks ago in the election that actually happened, Democrats outperformed Republicans in every state we were watching, whether it's returning the governor to Kentucky, winning the Virginia House and Senate. The list goes on and on. Pennsylvania, Ohio, even New Jersey, we had wins. So the polls say one thing, and that's frustration. But when we get down to brass tacks, it's about who's delivering for the American people. And I think Republicans have forgotten the difference between campaigning and complaining, and they think it's one and the same. And if you just complain all day long about the things that President Biden has done and not offer anything to say what you're going to do differently that will actually make a difference, but just shoot down the ideas, that's going to be a problem when people actually go out and vote.
Okay.
And there's an actual contrast
Gianno, you've got 5
between
seconds
two
to respond.
candidates and
Real
not
quick.
generics.
5 seconds. The abortion question was one of the reasons that we've seen the losses in a number of these elections. And I think Republicans need to certainly tidy up that message on abortion, for sure.
Very interesting stuff. Thanks to both of you gentlemen for joining us today.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.